August 15, 1975. The place is Marple Township, Pennsylvania, USA. Around 11:20 in the morning, a phone call came to the Marple Police Department. A summer Bible camp is held at Trinity Christian Reformed Church. Pastor David Zanstra, who is in charge of the summer Bible camp, called the police after stating that an 8-year-old girl named Gretchen Harrington, who left home at 9 o'clock to attend the camp, did not arrive at the church. Cops from the Marple Police Department rushed to the spot and started a search for the child. It was less than a kilometer from Gretchen Harrington's house to the church where the Bible camp was held. Meanwhile, the child had gone missing. But after 2 hours of being missing, it came to everyone's attention. It adversely affected the investigation. Despite continuous searches for 2 months, no information about Gretchen Harrington was found. Although the case received a breakthrough 2 months later on October 14, 1975, it was resolved in 2023 after a long 48 years. On August 15, 1975, what happened to 8-year-old Gretchen Harrington, who went to summer Bible camp? Marple Township is located in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, United States. According to the 2015 data, the population here is 25,000. Marple Township is also seen as a safe place to live with lots of natural beauty. The crime rate is 0.17, which is much less than the national average. The kidnapping of Gretchen Harrington took place in such a place. Gretchen Harrington was born on June 13, 1967, as the third daughter of Harold Harrington and Ina Harrington. Harold was the pastor of the church in Marple Town. Gretchen Harrington's older sisters were Zoe and Harriet. The three of them participated in the 1975 summer Bible camp together. But on August 15, Gretchen Harrington went alone to attend the Bible camp, because at that time Ina, the mother of the children, had finished her delivery. Zoe and Harriet were at home that day to take care of Jessica, the fourth child in the family. The children's father, Harold himself, forced Gretchen Harrington to attend the Bible camp, saying that she should not lose attendance. The camp was held in 2 sessions. The first location was Trinity Reformed Church. After finishing her classes, she should reach the second location, Reformed Presbyterian Church. Gretchen Harrington's father, Harold, was the pastor of the second church. On August 15, 1975, after the classes at Trinity Church, Harold realized that his daughter Gretchen Harrington had not arrived when all the children had arrived at the second meeting in Presbyterian Church. When the children were asked, it was reported that she did not attend the class at First Church. With this, Harold called Pastor David Zanstra, who was in charge of the Trinity Reformed Church, and inquired about the matter. David Zanstra ignored the children's absence, thinking that the three of them must have taken leave together, since Harold's 2 children did not show up. Also, David Zanstra and Harold are neighbors. Gretchen Harrington's best friend is David's daughter. Therefore, both families know each other very well. David knows that Harold's wife has finished her delivery. David thought that was the reason the kids stayed away from Bible camp. It was only after Harold called that David found out that Gretchen Harrington had left home at 9 o'clock to attend the camp. It has been 2 hours since the child went missing. So without wasting time, David informed the police. The police started a massive search to find the girl. It was shocking news for the people of Marple Town because they had never seen such cases before. It was such a safe city. The next day, August 16, all the people of Marple Town joined the search. Posters were made with a school photograph of Gretchen Harrington and displayed at all places. Hundreds of policemen were deployed for the search. Around August 17, Pennsylvania State Police helicopters were brought in to search the wooded areas. All suspects were questioned. There was no result. 2 months passed without even knowing whether the child had met with an accident or had been kidnapped by someone for money. If it's a kidnapping for money, the time for the kidnapper to contact parents is almost over. So far, no one has called with a demand. So the police have no hope that the child will be alive. On October 14, 1975, a group of people jogging in a park in Marple Town saw the skeleton of a child and reported it to the police. The police car arrived at the spot and inspected it. One thing became clear to the policemen who came and inspected the place. The body, buried for 2 months, had been dug out by animals or something. The skeleton was subjected to expert examination. A criminal records check confirmed that it was Gretchen Harrington who went missing 2 months ago. The medical examiner who conducted the autopsy confirmed that it was a homicide. There was a multiple fracture in the skull caused by being hit on the head with a heavy iron rod. Police believe sexual abuse was the motive for the murder, but an autopsy found no evidence of it. The police believe that the evidence must have been destroyed as the dead body was in the skeleton stage when it was found. Investigation has been intensified to find the accused soon. The police questioned all the people who lived in the vicinity of the park where the skeleton was found. The police asked if anyone had seen any unusual activities in the area during the last 2 months. Many people testified that they saw someone in the park under suspicious circumstances, but there was no information to identify the person. In addition, they investigated those on the police's criminal list, particularly sex offenders. But no evidence was found to link any of them to the case. Months and years passed. The investigation of the case was almost abandoned. The Gretchen Harrington case is also on the list of many unproven cold cases in America. Although the case was reopened several times, no significant progress was made as the forensics failed to get any leads. Many years have passed. Many detectives who handled the case retired from service. Some died. January 2, 2023. The Marple Police Department received a phone call from a woman. The woman said, "I have something to say about the case of Gretchen Harrington, which happened 48 years ago." The woman, who did not want to be named, was identified as SF in police records. A detective named Nick Coffin was currently investigating Gretchen Harrington's case. He quickly arranged a meeting with SF. According to SF's statement, she neither saw the murderer nor was she informed that it was the man who did the murder. But she said she could give him information about someone who was 100% likely to have killed Gretchen Harrington. David Zanstra was the name revealed by SF, that is, a pastor of Trinity Reformed Church who was in charge of the 1975 summer Bible camp. Gretchen Harrington's father, Harold's friend David Zanstra, called the police to report the child missing. The lady SF who made this disclosure almost 5 decades later was a girl who went to school with Gretchen Harrington in 1975. David Zanstra's daughter was a friend of both of them. Therefore, SF used to visit David's house occasionally to play with his daughter and so on. Sometimes SF and Gretchen Harrington also lived in that house. So one day, while staying at David's house, when Chef woke up in the middle of the night, David was sitting next to her. She woke up from sleep because he was touching SF's body for too long. SF was only 10 years old then, so she didn't tell anyone about this. It was then that Gretchen Harrington went missing and her dead body was found 2 months later. A few months after Gretchen Harrington's murder, David received a transfer to another church in Texas, and the Zanstra family moved from Marpletown to Texas. After many years later, when SF grew up, she began to think seriously about the bad experience she had from David Zanstra at the age of 10. She was shocked that a pastor who taught classes for young children could have such a bad character. Even then, SF did not have the courage to open up about it. It was only years later that SF began to suspect that David Zanstra was behind the murder of her friend Gretchen Harrington. That thought haunted her for years. Finally, in 2023, SF opened up to the police. Detective Nick Coffin and his team, who are currently investigating the case, started trying to find David. Eventually, they discovered that 83-year-old David Zanstra was living in Georgia. He was on the suspect list of the police at the time of this murder in 1975. Even though the police had questioned David at that time, they could not link anyone to the case because there was no forensic evidence. David Zanstra still claimed that he had no part in this murder. With this, the police informed David about the misbehavior he had done to a girl named SF and the fact that the girl gave a statement to the police. Similarly, the police told David Zanstra that they were investigating all the churches where he worked and that they had received information that many people there had had bad experiences with him. David Zanstra confessed to the crime completely unexpectedly when the police were sure that David was not going to admit anything openly and that they could not solve this case without any evidence. On August 15, 1975, David Zanstra, who was in charge of the summer Bible camp at Trinity Reformed Church, was going to the church in his car. Then he saw Gretchen Harrington walking alone by the road. David Zanstra is her best friend's father, the pastor of the church, and above all their neighbor and his father's friend. Without hesitation, Gretchen Harrington got into the car. The car went straight into a wooded area near a park. After asking Gretchen Harrington to get out of the car, David Zanstra told her to take off her clothes. The 8-year-old girl not only refused to take off her clothes, but also started screaming in fear. Realizing that things had gotten worse, David Zanstra beat Gretchen Harrington to death with a piece of wood in his hand. After that, the dead body was buried there. Later, he attended the Bible camp as if he knew nothing and led the search for Gretchen Harrington. The same day that these things were revealed, David was arrested by the police on charges of murder, but the trial in this case has not yet started, because all the child abduction cases around the place where David worked were being investigated. The police believe that David is also the suspect in the case of missing a 4-year-old Amanda in California in 1991. David lived next to Amanda's house when he was working in California. David's trial will begin only after clearing all such cases. Now, whatever the verdict in this case, he will get a chance to live in his old age at government expense. While many cases fade away without being able to find out who the accused is, we can be relieved that the accused in this case has also been found.